Tae-ho Kim stood at the window of his small ship and looked out at the massive space station floating in the darkness. The station was bigger than anything humans had ever built. It stretched for miles in every direction, made of strange metals that seemed to glow with their own light. This was Nexus Prime, the heart of the Galactic Council. His ship, Soul's Pride, looked tiny next to the alien vessels docked around the station. There were ships made of what looked like living coral, others that seemed carved from single giant crystals, and some that appeared to be made of pure energy, held together by force fields. Tae-ho had never felt so small. "Ambassador Kim, we are ready to dock," said Captain Yang from the pilot seat. The older man had been chosen to fly this historic mission because he was the best pilot Earth had. Even so, his hands shook slightly as he guided their ship toward the docking port. "Thank you, Captain," Tae-ho replied. He straightened his formal suit and checked his translation device one more time. Everything had to be perfect. This was humanity's first chance to join the galactic community. Earth's future depended on what happened in the next few hours. The docking process took longer than expected. Their ship's systems had to be scanned and approved by 3 different alien security protocols. Finally, they were cleared to board the station. As Tae-ho walked through the airlock, he felt the artificial gravity adjust to something slightly heavier than Earth normal. The corridor beyond was enormous, with ceilings that disappeared into shadows above. Strange symbols glowed along the walls, and the air smelled of ozone and something sweet he couldn't identify. His escort was a floating orb of silver metal that spoke in a mechanical voice. "Follow the blue lights to Council Chamber 7. Do not deviate from the path. Do not touch anything. Speak only when spoken to." The walk to the council chamber took 20 minutes. Tae-ho passed dozens of different alien species in the corridors. Some walked on 2 legs like humans. Others floated, crawled, or moved in ways that made no sense to his Earth-trained eyes. A few looked at him with what might have been curiosity, but most ignored him completely. Council Chamber 7 was a vast dome with seats arranged in concentric circles. In the center was a small platform, where Tae-ho was directed to stand. The seats around him filled with the most important beings in the galaxy. The Vorthak representatives took their places. First, they looked like living crystals shaped roughly like humans but twice as tall. Their bodies were translucent, and light seemed to flow through them in patterns. High Speaker Zelthara was the largest of them, her crystal form a pale blue that shifted to deeper shades when she moved. Next came the Krillian delegation. They looked like giant insects with hard shells covering their bodies and multiple arms ending in sharp claws. Their heads were triangular, with large compound eyes that reflected the chamber's lights. Swarm Voice Zikthar was their speaker, his shell a deep green with gold markings that indicated his rank. The ethereal collective arrived last. They were beings of pure energy contained within suits that looked like they were made of liquid metal. Their forms constantly shifted and flowed, and when they spoke, their voices sounded like music mixed with static. Flux Prime was their representative, its energy form a bright yellow that pulsed with each word. "The session begins," announced Zelthara, her voice ringing like wind chimes in the vast chamber. "Species designation, human. Planet of origin, Earth. Sol system, Outer Rim territory. Representative, Tae-ho Kim. State your petition." Tae-ho took a deep breath and activated his voice amplifier. "Honored Council, I come before you representing the people of Earth. We seek membership in the Galactic Council and the protection that comes with it. We offer our friendship, our knowledge, and our commitment to peace among all species." He had practiced this speech 100 times during the long journey to Nexus Prime. Every word had been carefully chosen by Earth's best diplomats. But as he spoke, he could see the dismissal in the aliens' reactions. Zelthara's crystal form flickered with what Tae-ho's briefing materials had told him indicated amusement. "Your species' technological profile has been reviewed. Chemical propulsion for space travel, nuclear fission for power generation, projectile weapons for defense. By galactic standards, these are primitive technologies that most species abandoned thousands of years ago." Zigthar's compound eyes focused on Tae-ho with insect intensity. The Krillian Hive has observed your military capabilities through long-range sensors. Your weapons fire metal projectiles and basic energy beams. You have no biological warfare capabilities, no psionic defenses, no neural linking technology. Your soldiers fight as individuals rather than as a unified organism. This is inefficient and weak. Flux Prime's energy form pulsed rapidly, creating what sounded like electronic laughter. Our analysis of human neural patterns shows severe limitations. Your species lacks collective consciousness. Each individual thinks independently, creating chaos and confusion. You cannot achieve the mental unity necessary for advanced civilization. Your planet shows signs of internal conflict, environmental damage, and resource depletion. These are marks of a failed species. Tejo felt his carefully prepared responses crumbling. The briefing materials had warned him that the aliens might be skeptical, but this level of dismissal was beyond what Earth's diplomats had expected. "Honored Council," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "Humanity may not have the most advanced technology, but we have other qualities. We are adaptable. We are creative. When we face problems, we find new solutions. We have survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and natural disasters. We have learned to work together despite our differences. Adaptability is the trait of primitive species that lack proper evolutionary development," Selthara replied. "Advanced species achieve perfection and no longer need to adapt. The Vorthak achieved crystalline perfection 50,000 years ago. We have not changed since then, because we do not need to change." The Krillian Hive achieved biological perfection through genetic engineering and collective consciousness, added Zikthar. "Individual thinking is a flaw that evolution eliminates in successful species. Your continued individuality proves your species is evolutionarily inferior." The ethereal collective transcended physical form entirely, Flux Prime stated. "We exist as pure thought and energy. Your attachment to crude matter shows how far your species has yet to evolve." Tejo tried a different approach. "We understand that we have much to learn from the galactic community. That is why we seek membership. We want to grow, to become better, to contribute to the peace and prosperity of all species." The three council speakers exchanged communications in frequencies beyond human hearing. Tejo's translation device picked up fragments of their conversation, but most of it was too complex or too fast to follow. What he did understand made his heart sink. Resource allocation, outer rim territories, mining rights, devourer, migration patterns. "The decision is unanimous," Selthara announced after several minutes. "Humanity is denied membership in the Galactic Council. Your species lacks the technological, biological, and mental development necessary for galactic civilization. Your home system will remain unprotected by council law. Furthermore," added Zikthar, "your system has been designated as available for resource extraction by any species with the capability to claim it. This is standard procedure for primitive worlds that cannot defend themselves. We recommend that your species focus on achieving basic technological milestones before reapplying for council consideration," Flux Prime concluded. "Return when you have developed faster-than-light communication, energy-based weapons, and some form of collective consciousness. This may take several thousand years." Tejo felt the weight of failure crushing down on him. "Honored Council, I understand your decision, but I ask you to reconsider. Humanity has something to offer the galaxy. We may not be the most advanced species, but we are determined. We do not give up easily." "Your determination is noted and dismissed as irrelevant," Selthara said. "The Council has made its decision. You will be escorted back to your vessel and given safe passage to the edge of Council space. Do not return without significant technological advancement." As Tejo was led away from the Council chamber, he heard the three speakers discussing something in more detail. His translation device was still active, and he caught fragments of their conversation that made his blood run cold. "The Devourers have been requesting new territory for resource extraction," Selthara was saying. "Their current system is nearly depleted. The Sol system would be perfect for their needs," replied Zikthar. "Multiple planets with rare minerals. A young star with optimal energy output. The primitive human population can be easily relocated or eliminated. We will send the allocation notice to the Devourer fleet immediately, Flux Prime added. They should arrive in the Sol system within 6 months. The primitive humans will be swept aside long before they can mount any meaningful resistance. Tejo quickened his pace, pretending he hadn't heard anything. The silver orb that was escorting him didn't seem to notice his increased urgency. Back in his ship, he waited until they had cleared the station's sensor range before contacting Earth. Mission Control, this is Ambassador Kim, he said into the encrypted communicator. The petition has been. The first Devourer ships appeared at the edge of the solar system exactly 6 months after Tejo Kim's return from the Galactic Council. Long-range sensors picked them up as they dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Neptune's orbit. The readings made every human military officer who saw them feel sick with dread. Each Devourer ship was massive beyond anything humans had ever imagined. The smallest ones were the size of Earth's moon. The largest were bigger than most asteroids. They looked like they had been grown rather than built, with hulls that seemed to be made of living metal and bone. Strange organic patterns covered their surfaces, pulsing with dim bioluminescent light. Admiral So-Young Park stood on the bridge of Incheon's Fury, humanity's newest and most powerful warship. She had been promoted to lead Earth's defense fleet after spending the last 6 months overseeing the most intense military buildup in human history. Every shipyard on Earth and in orbit had been working around the clock to prepare for this moment. How many ships are we detecting? She asked her sensor officer. 237 confirmed contacts, Admiral, replied Lieutenant Cho. More are still arriving. They're maintaining formation at the edge of the system. So-Young looked out at her own fleet through the bridge windows. 50 ships hung in space around her flagship. They were a mix of converted civilian vessels, hastily built military ships, and orbital defense platforms that had been equipped with engines for mobility. It was impressive by human standards, but tiny compared to what they were facing. Signal from the lead Devourer ship, Admiral, reported Communications Officer Nam. They're broadcasting on multiple frequencies. Put it on the main screen. The image that appeared was disturbing. The Devourer commander looked like a cross between a spider and a starfish, with multiple arms ending in sharp claws. Its skin was gray and seemed to shift like liquid metal. When it spoke, its voice sounded like grinding machinery. Primitive. Inhabitants of Sol 3, the creature said, using the Galactic Council's designation for Earth. I am Hunt Leader Vexmoth of the Devourer Fleet. Your system has been allocated to us for resource extraction by the Galactic Council. You will evacuate your planets immediately. Compliance will result in quick death. Resistance will result in slow consumption. So-Young stepped forward to respond. This is Admiral So-Young Park of the Earth Defense Force. This is our home system. We will not evacuate. If you want our planets, you'll have to take them from us. The Devourer's multiple eyes focused on her with what might have been amusement. Your council file indicates you possess only primitive chemical weapons and metal projectiles. We have stripped clean 300 star systems with similar defenses. Your resistance will last approximately 4 hours. We begin extraction in one rotation of your planet. The transmission ended and the Devourer fleet began moving toward the inner system. Their ships moved slowly but steadily, like predators that knew their prey had nowhere to run. All ships, this is Admiral Park. So-Young broadcast to her fleet. We all knew this day would come. Earth Command has been planning our defense for 6 months. Every person in this fleet volunteered for this mission knowing we might not survive. But we're not here just to die. We're here to show these aliens that humans don't surrender. The first engagement took place near Jupiter 3 days later. Captain Min-Ho Lee commanded the destroyer Busan Lightning, leading a squadron of 12 ships in an attack on a Devourer harvester vessel that was already beginning to strip mine one of Jupiter's moons. All ships, maintain attack formation, Min-Ho ordered as his squadron approached the massive alien ship. Target the sections that look like command structures. Fire everything we have. The human ships opened fire with railguns, missile launchers, and laser arrays. The weapons struck the Devourer ship's hull and seemed to have no effect at first. The alien vessel's bio-armor absorbed the impacts and began repairing itself almost immediately. Sir, our weapons aren't penetrating, reported his weapons officer. Keep firing, Minho replied. Earth Command said these things can be hurt. We just need to find the right way. The Devourer ship responded with its own weapons. Streams of bioplasma shot out from gun ports along its hull, seeking the small human ships. Where the plasma hit, metal melted and electronics failed. 2. Human destroyers were destroyed in the first exchange. But Minho noticed something important. Where multiple railgun rounds had hit the same spot repeatedly, the bioarmor was taking longer to repair itself. All ships concentrate fire on grid reference 77. Sustained barrage, don't let up. The human ships focused their fire on a single section of the Devourer's hull. Round after round of solid metal projectiles hammered the same area. Slowly the bioarmor began to crack and fail. It's working, shouted his tactical officer. The armor can't keep up with the damage rate. Pour it on, Minho ordered. Don't give it time to heal. The concentrated fire finally punched through. The Devourer's hull. Internal explosions began to spread through the massive ship as human weapons found vital systems inside. The alien vessel shuddered and began listing to one side. But the victory came at a cost. Only 6 human ships survived the engagement. Minho's own ship was badly damaged, with hull breaches on 3 decks and his main engines offline. This is Captain Lee to all surviving ships, he broadcast. We've proven they can be hurt. Get back to the fleet and report what we learned. They're not invincible. While Minho was fighting near Jupiter, Commander Ji-Wan Choi was leading her own mission in the asteroid belt. Her squadron consisted of 20 fighter craft, small and fast ships that could hide among the space rocks. Remember, we're not trying to destroy their ships, she told her pilots. We're trying to learn how they think and fight. Stay mobile, hit and run, don't let them pin you down. Her fighters darted between asteroids, striking at Devourer scout ships and supply vessels. The aliens seemed confused by the humans' tactics. Their own ships were designed for overwhelming firepower against static targets, not dogfights with small, agile opponents. Lead, this is 3, reported one of her pilots. I'm seeing something weird about their weapon targeting. They're having trouble tracking us when we change direction quickly. Confirmed, Lead, added another pilot. It's like they expect us to fly in straight lines. G1 realized what this meant. The Devourers were used to fighting enemies with predictable movement patterns. Their weapons were designed to hit targets that moved in straight lines, or gentle, curves. Human fighters trained in Earth's chaotic gravity fields and asteroid belts were naturally unpredictable. All pilots, random evasion patterns, she ordered. Don't fly straight for more than 2 seconds. Make them guess where you're going next. The hit-and-run attacks continued for hours. The human fighters were too small and fast for the Devourer's main weapons, and their fighters couldn't match human pilots in close-quarters maneuvering. But Ji-Wan knew this was just buying time. The real battle would be decided by the capital, ships. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Yunwoo Bei was aboard the research vessel Daegu Scholar, studying wreckage from the battle near Jupiter. His job was to analyze Devourer technology and find weaknesses that could be exploited. Admiral, I need to speak with you immediately, he said during an emergency video call to So Young's flagship. I found something important about the Devourer bioships. What have you discovered, Doctor? So Young asked. Their ships are alive, not just biological technology. They're actually living creatures that have been modified for space travel. And like all living things, they're vulnerable to disease. Dr. Onam Bei held up a sample container filled with what looked like ordinary dirt. This is soil from Earth. It contains thousands of different bacteria, viruses, and microorganisms. I've tested it against Devourer biomatter. Their immune systems have no defense against Earth pathogens. So Young felt her heart rate increase. Are you saying we can make them sick? More than sick. I can modify some of our common bacteria to attack their bioships directly. The infection would spread through their living hulls like a plague. Their ships would literally die from the inside out. How quickly can you produce this bioweapon? With the resources on this ship, 6 hours for a small batch. But if we can get to Earth's biological research facilities, we could produce enough to affect their entire fleet. So Young made the decision immediately. Dr. Bei, you're going back to Earth on the fastest ship we have. I'm giving you unlimited resources and authority. Create as much of this bioweapon as possible. Admiral, there's one more thing, Dr. Bay said. The weapon will only work if we can get it inside their ship's bioarmor. We'll need to modify our missiles and torpedoes to carry the bacterial payload, and we'll need to get close enough to ensure the weapons penetrate their hulls. Leave that to us, Doctor. Just make the weapon. We'll figure out how to deliver it. As Dr. Bay's ship raced toward Earth, So Young began planning humanity's counterattack. The Devourer fleet was still moving slowly through the solar system, systematically stripping resources from the outer planets. They seemed confident that the small human fleet posed no real threat. They were about to learn how wrong they were. 3 days later, the human fleet received a transmission from Earth. Dr. Bay had succeeded beyond their wildest hopes. The human missile barrage struck the Devourer command ship like a swarm of angry hornets. Hundreds of bioweapon warheads penetrated the massive vessel's living hull, releasing their deadly cargo deep inside its organic systems. At first, nothing seemed to happen. The enormous ship continued its slow movement through space, apparently unaffected by the human attack. Admiral So Young Park watched from the bridge of Incheon's Fury as her fleet scattered after the initial strike. The plan was to hit hard and fast, then retreat before the Devourers could organize their response. But she knew the real test would come in the next few hours, when Dr. Bay's bioweapon had time to work. Admiral, the Devourer fleet is responding, reported her tactical officer. They're launching pursuit ships. Dozens of smaller Devourer vessels detached from the main fleet and began chasing the retreating human ships. These pursuit craft were faster and more maneuverable than the massive harvester ships, designed specifically for hunting down enemy vessels. All ships evasive action, So Young ordered. Don't try to outrun them. Use the asteroid fields and planetary rings for cover. Make them come to us on our terms. Captain Dongmin Yu commanded the heavy cruiser Gwangju's Vengeance, one of the most powerful ships in the human fleet. His vessel carried the largest complement of bioweapon missiles, including several experimental warheads that Dr. Bay had designed specifically for the command ship. Captain, we have 3 pursuit ships closing on our position, his sensor operator reported. Let them come, Dongmin replied calmly. Weapons, prepare the new proximity charges. Engineering, I want maximum power to the engines when I give the word. The Devourer ships were closing fast, their bioplasma weapons already firing long-range shots at his ship. Dongmin waited until they were committed to their attack run before springing his trap. Now, all stop, reverse thrust. Gwangju's Vengeance suddenly slowed and changed direction, causing the pursuing Devourer ships to overshoot their target. As they passed by, Dongmin's ship released a spread of proximity mines armed with bioweapon payloads. The mines detonated close to the alien ship's hulls, releasing clouds of weaponized bacteria that immediately began attacking their bioarmor. Within minutes, the pursuing vessels began showing signs of system failure as their living hulls started dying from within. Target destroyed, reported his weapons officer as the first Devourer ship began breaking apart. The bioweapon is working perfectly, but Dongmin's satisfaction was short-lived. His long-range sensors were picking up something that made his blood run cold. Tactical, confirm that sensor reading. Confirmed, sir. 2 massive fleets are approaching the outer system. Energy signatures match Galactic Council database files for Vorthak and Krillian vessels. Dongmin immediately opened a channel to Admiral Park. Admiral, this is Captain Yu. We have a major problem. The cavalry has arrived and it's not ours. Meanwhile, the bioweapon was beginning to show its effects on the Devourer fleet. The command ship, which had seemed invulnerable just hours before, was now showing visible signs of infection. Patches of its hull were changing color, turning from the healthy gray-green of living tissue to the black of necrosis. Dr. Bay, monitoring the battle from Earth's orbital research station, watched the sensor readings with growing excitement. The infection rate is exceeding our most optimistic projections, he reported to Admiral Park. The bioweapon is not only killing their hulls, it's causing some kind of neurological effect. Look at their flight patterns. So Young studied the tactical display and saw what he meant. The Devourer ships were beginning to move erratically, some turning on each other, others flying in circles as if their navigation systems had failed. The bioweapon wasn't just destroying their ship's physical structure, it was affecting their biological control systems. "Doctor, can you enhance this effect?" she asked. "I'm already working on it," Dr. Bay replied. "I'm developing a second-generation weapon that specifically targets their neural networks. But Admiral, I'm picking up the same sensor readings as Captain Yu. We have bigger problems coming." The Vorthak Crystal Armada dropped out of hyperspace first, their geometric ships appearing in perfect formation at the edge of the solar system. Each vessel was a work of art and destruction, crystalline structures that channeled and focused energy with incredible precision. There were 200 ships in the formation, more firepower than humanity had ever seen in one place. Minutes later, the Krillian war swarm arrived in a chaotic cloud of bioorganic vessels. Unlike the elegant Vorthak ships, the Krillian vessels looked like enormous insects, their hulls covered in armor plates and weapon pods. They moved in a seemingly random pattern that somehow maintained perfect coordination through their collective consciousness. Admiral Park found herself facing an impossible situation. Her fleet had been reduced to 35 ships after the battle with the Devourers. Now she was facing two of the galaxy's most powerful military forces, each one capable of destroying Earth's entire civilization single-handedly. "Admiral, incoming. Transmission from the Vorthak flagship," her communications officer announced. The image that appeared on the main screen was High Speaker Zelthara, the same arrogant crystal being who had dismissed humanity at the Galactic Council. Her crystalline form pulsed with what human analysts had learned to recognize as supreme confidence. "Primitive humans," she said, her voice carrying the sound of breaking glass. "You have interfered with an authorized Galactic Council resource. Extraction. This cannot be permitted. Surrender immediately and we will grant you quick extinction. Continue to resist, and we will demonstrate why the Vorthak Armada has never been defeated." Before So Young could respond, another transmission came in from the Krillian fleet. Swarm voice Zekthar appeared on a split screen, his insectoid form clicking and chittering as he spoke. "The Krillian hive has been authorized to cleanse this system of biological contamination," he stated. "Your species has introduced dangerous pathogens that threaten galactic biosecurity. All human life forms will be eliminated to prevent the spread of this biological weapon." So Young looked at both alien commanders with disgust. "This is Admiral Park of the Earth Defense Force. 6 months ago, your council dismissed us as primitive and handed our system over to these devourers without even giving us a chance to defend ourselves. Now you're angry because we found a way to fight back. If you want to destroy humanity, you'll have to come through us. Your defiance is noted and will make your destruction more satisfying," Zelthara replied. "The Vorthak will demonstrate the futility of resisting superior beings." The transmissions ended, and both alien fleets began moving toward the inner system. Their approach was methodical and confident, two predators moving in to finish off wounded prey. But So Young had one advantage the aliens didn't know about. While they had been talking, Dr. Bay had been working frantically to develop new weapons, based on what they had learned from the Devourer battle. "Admiral, this is Dr. Bay," came the transmission from Earth. "I have good news and bad news. The good news is that I've developed 2 new weapons. The first is a quantum disruptor that should destabilize the crystalline matrix of Vorthak ships. The second is a neural scrambler that can interfere with Krillian hive mind communications." "What's the bad news?" So Young asked. "Both weapons are short-range only. You'll need to get within 5 kilometers of the target ships to be effective, and we only have enough materials for maybe 20 shots of each weapon." So Young did quick calculations in her head. 20 shots against 400 enemy ships. It wasn't nearly enough to win a conventional battle, but humans had never been known for fighting conventional battles. "Doctor, load those weapons on our fastest ships. I have a plan." Captain Jamin Kang commanded the stealth frigate Souls, Shadow, one of the few human ships equipped with advanced sensor-dampening technology. His mission was to penetrate the Vorthak formation and test the quantum disruptor weapon on their command vessel. "Remember, we only get one shot at this," he told his crew as they approached the Crystal Armada. "The disruptor has to hit the ship's central core to be effective. Miss and we'll be vaporized before we can reload." Sol's shadow slipped between the Vorthak ships like a ghost, its stealth systems making it nearly invisible to their sensors. The crystalline vessels were beautiful up close, their faceted hulls reflecting starlight in patterns that seemed almost hypnotic. Target acquired, his weapons officer reported. The crystal throne is directly ahead, range 8 kilometers. Close. To 5 kilometers and prepare to fire, Jamin ordered. All power to engines for emergency acceleration after we shoot. The frigate crept closer to the massive Vorthak flagship. The crystal throne was enormous, a geometric masterpiece that stretched for several kilometers in each direction. Energy patterns flowed through its crystalline structure like liquid light. Range 5 kilometers, sir. Weapon ready. Fire! The quantum disruptor shot out from Sol's shadow like a bolt of distorted space-time. It struck the crystal throne's central core and immediately began propagating through the ship's crystalline matrix. The effect was spectacular and terrifying. The perfect geometric patterns that made up the Vorthak flagship began to warp and crack. Energy discharges erupted from multiple points on its hull as its quantum struck to. Admiral So-Young Park stared at the tactical display showing the two damaged but still deadly alien fleets regrouping in her solar system. The Vorthak Crystal Armada had lost their flagship, but they still had nearly 200 ships capable of cracking planets. The Krillian war swarm was fighting among themselves, but their confused rage made them even more dangerous than before. Dr. Bay, explain this weapon you're talking about, she said into her communicator. The scientist's face appeared on her screen, looking exhausted but determined. It's called a cascade resonance weapon. I've been studying the energy patterns of both alien fleets and I've discovered something interesting. The Vorthak ships are all connected through quantum energy fields, and the Krillian ships share biological neural networks even when their consciousness is fragmented. What does that mean for us? So-Young asked. It means that if we can create the right kind of energy pulse, we can turn their greatest strengths against them. The Vorthak use their quantum connections to coordinate their weapons and defenses. If we overload that network, the feedback will travel through their entire fleet. The Krillians' biological links make them vulnerable to a neural virus that could spread from ship to ship. Dr. Bay paused and took a deep breath before continuing. But the weapon requires enormous amounts of energy to create the initial pulse. We would need to channel the power output of Earth's entire electrical grid through a single focal point. And that focal point would need to be positioned precisely between both alien fleets. So-Young understood immediately what he was suggesting. You're talking about a suicide mission. The ship carrying the weapon would be completely destroyed by the energy discharge, Dr. Bay confirmed. There's no way to survive the activation process. But if it works, both alien fleets would be neutralized simultaneously. Before So-Young could respond, her communications officer interrupted. Admiral, we're receiving multiple transmissions from both alien fleets. They're reorganizing for a final assault. The main screen split to show both alien commanders. High Speaker Zelthara's crystalline form was flickering with angry red patterns, while swarm voice Zicthar's compound eyes reflected pure, predatory hunger. Humans, Zelthara spoke first, her voice like breaking glass mixed with wind chimes. You have damaged vessels of the Crystal Armada. This insult cannot be tolerated. We will demonstrate why the Vorthak have ruled this galaxy for 50,000 years. The Hive has decided that your biological contamination must be eliminated. Completely, Zicthar added, his mandibles clicking rapidly. Every human world will be sterilized. Every human ship will be consumed. Your species will serve as an example to others who would dare resist the natural order. Furthermore, Zelthara continued, the Galactic Council has authorized the use of planet-killer weapons. Your homeworld will be reduced to cosmic dust as a demonstration of what happens to primitives who overreach their station. So-Young felt a cold anger building in her chest. These beings spoke of genocide as casually as humans might discuss the weather. They had already written off humanity as extinct, and now they were just deciding how to make the execution most dramatic. This is Admiral Park, she replied, her voice steady despite the rage she felt. You came here expecting to find primitives who would cower before your superior technology. Instead, you found humans who fight back. You dismissed us as irrelevant, but we've hurt both your fleets. Maybe it's time you considered that your definition of primitive needs some adjustment. Your defiance entertains us, Zelthara said dismissively. But entertainment ends now. Both fleets will advance simultaneously. You will have the honor of witnessing superior beings at work before your extinction. The transmissions ended, and both alien fleets began moving toward the inner solar system in a coordinated assault. The Vorthax ships formed a perfect geometric pattern, their crystalline hulls glowing with stored energy. The Krillian ships moved in a more chaotic formation, but their biological instincts were driving them toward the same goal, the complete destruction of human civilization. Admiral, Dr. Bay's voice came through the communicator again. I need your decision about the Cascade weapon. If we're going to use it, the device needs to be deployed within the next 4 hours. So-Young looked around her bridge at the faces of her crew. These people had volunteered to defend Earth knowing they might not survive. But asking someone to commit suicide was different from asking them to risk their lives in battle. Dr. Bay, how long would it take to build this weapon? With the resources we have on the orbital stations, about 3 hours. But Admiral, there's something else. The weapon doesn't just need to be positioned between the fleets, it needs to be activated at precisely the right moment when both fleets are using their maximum power output. That means waiting until they're in active combat. Combat with what? So-Young asked. We don't have enough ships left to threaten either fleet, let alone both of them. That's the other part of the plan, Dr. Bay said quietly. We need to make them fight each other. Engineer Woo-Sung Kim had been working frantically for the past week to reverse engineer captured devourer biotechnology. His workshop on Earth's largest orbital station looked like a nightmare mix of human engineering and alien biology. Cables and circuits were integrated with what looked like living tissue, creating hybrid systems that shouldn't have been possible. The bioregenerative hull plating is working better than expected, he reported to Admiral Park. We can now repair battle damage in real time. The problem is that we've only been able to retrofit 12 ships with the new technology. How effective is the regeneration? So-Young asked. A ship with biohull can survive about 10 times more damage than a standard vessel, Woo-Sung replied. But the real advantage is psychological. When enemy weapons hit our ships and the damage immediately starts healing, it tends to make them panic. Good. Get those 12 ships ready for combat immediately. We're going to need every advantage we can get. While Woo-Sung worked on the biohull upgrades, Dr. Bay was putting the finishing touches on the Cascade resonance weapon. The device looked deceptively simple. A crystalline core surrounded by energy-focusing arrays, all connected to massive power conduits that would channel Earth's entire electrical output into a single devastating pulse. The weapon is ready, he reported to So-Young. But I need to tell you something about the activation process. Whoever carries this weapon won't just die in the explosion. The energy discharge will literally tear apart matter at the molecular level. There won't be anything left, not even atoms. So-Young nodded grimly. I understand, Doctor. Have you chosen a ship to carry it? Actually, Admiral, I've been thinking about that. The weapon needs to be positioned with incredible precision, and the timing has to be perfect. I think I should be the one to carry it. Absolutely not, So-Young replied immediately. You're too valuable. We need you to develop more weapons if humanity survives this battle. With respect, Admiral, no one else understands the weapon well enough to use it effectively, and if humanity doesn't survive this battle, my knowledge won't matter anyway. Before So-Young could argue further, her tactical officer interrupted with urgent news. Admiral, both alien fleets have entered the asteroid belt. They're beginning to deploy an attack formation. We have maybe 2 hours before they reach Earth. So-Young made her decision. Dr. Bay, prep the weapon for transport. I'll choose the volunteer to carry it. All ships, prepare for final battle stations. Captain Dongmin Yu had been listening to the communications from his position aboard Guangzhou's Vengeance. His ship had been fitted with the new biohull technology and carried some of the most powerful weapons in the human fleet. More importantly, his ship had the largest engine array, making it the fastest vessel available. Admiral, this is Captain Yu, he said, opening a private channel. I volunteered to carry the Cascade weapon. Captain, you know what that means? So-Young replied. Yes, Admiral. I understand completely. But I've been thinking about this situation, and I'm the logical choice. My ship is fast enough to get into position between the alien fleets. I have enough firepower to make them take me seriously as a threat, and I don't have any family waiting for me back on Earth. So Young felt her throat tighten with emotion. Captain, there has to be another way. Admiral, with respect, we both know there isn't. These aliens came here expecting to sweep us aside like insects. They're about to learn that insects can sting back. Give me the weapon, and I'll make sure they never underestimate humans again. The Cascade weapon was transferred to Guangzhou's Vengeance during a brief rendezvous at Earth's orbital defense station. Dr. Bay personally oversaw the installation, explaining the activation procedures to Captain Yu and his crew. The device will charge automatically once you activate it, he explained. The charging process takes exactly 10 minutes. During that time, both alien fleets need to be at maximum power output and preferably firing at each other rather than at you. How do we make them fight each other? Asked Yu's tactical officer. That's where our misinformation campaign comes in, Dr. Bay replied with a slight smile. We're going to convince each fleet that the other one is planning to betray them, and claim this system exclusively. Lieutenant Sujin Nam had been working in Earth's intelligence divvy. The Cascade resonance weapon began charging aboard Guangzhou's Vengeance, drawing power from Earth's entire electrical grid through a quantum transmission beam. Captain Dongmin Yu watched the charging indicator climb slowly toward full power, while both alien fleets continued their approach to Earth. 8 minutes until weapon activation, reported his engineering officer. Power levels are stable. Around them, space filled with alien warships. The Vorthak Crystal Armada maintained their geometric formation, their ships glowing with stored energy that would soon be unleashed on Earth's cities. The Krillian war swarm moved in their chaotic pattern, individual ships twitching with barely contained biological aggression. Captain, we're being scanned by both fleets, his sensor operator announced. They know we're here, but they seem to be ignoring us. Yu wasn't surprised. To beings who thought in terms of massive fleet actions and planet-killing weapons, a single human ship probably seemed irrelevant. They would learn differently very soon. On Earth, Admiral So Young Park was coordinating the final phase of humanity's desperate plan from her bunker beneath the lunar surface. Her remaining ships were positioned around Earth in a defensive formation that everyone knew was purely symbolic. If the Cascade weapon failed, nothing would stop the aliens from destroying human civilization. Admiral, both alien fleets are moving into optimal position, reported Dr. Bay from his monitoring station. 6 more minutes until weapon activation. What about the misinformation campaign? So Young asked. Lieutenant Sujin Nam looked up from her communications console. It's working perfectly. Both fleets are positioning ships to defend against each other while maintaining their advance on Earth. Their paranoia is making them split their focus exactly as we hoped. Sir, interrupted her tactical officer. Long-range sensors are detecting something new. 3 more ships have entered the outer system. So Young felt her heart sink. Galactic Council reinforcements? Unknown, Admiral. The energy signatures don't match any known alien technology. Wait, they're broadcasting on human frequencies. A new voice came through the communication system, speaking perfect Korean with an Earth accent. Earth Defense Command, this is Captain Jae-hyun Cho of the exploration ship New Seoul. We received your distress call and came as fast as we could. So Young was confused. Captain Cho, identify yourself. You're not in our fleet registry. Admiral, we're from the Tau Ceti colony. When we received word about the alien invasion, we loaded every ship we had with whatever weapons we could find and came home to help defend Earth. The Tau Ceti colony was humanity's first successful interstellar settlement, established only 3 years earlier. So Young had assumed they were too far away and too small to be of any help in the current crisis. Captain, how many ships do you have? She asked. 3 colony ships converted to carry mass drivers and nuclear missiles, Cho replied. We know it's not much, but we couldn't let Earth face this alone. So Young felt tears in her eyes. Even humanity's farthest outpost had rushed to defend their home world, knowing they would probably die in the attempt. Captain Cho, maintain. Position at the edge of the system. she ordered. "We have a special operation in progress. If it fails, you'll be humanity's last hope." Meanwhile, aboard Guangzhou's Vengeance, the countdown continued. 4 minutes to activation, announced the engineering officer. "All systems are stable." Captain Yu opened a ship-wide channel. "All hands, this is the captain. In 4 minutes, we're going to hit both alien fleets with a weapon they've never seen before. If Dr. Bay's calculations are correct, we'll take both fleets down with us. If not, at least we'll give them something to remember humans by." The crew worked at their stations with calm efficiency. These people had accepted their fate and were determined to make their deaths count for something. "Captain," his communications officer said quietly, "we're receiving a transmission from the Vorthak flagship. They want to talk." The image of High Speaker Zelthara appeared on the main screen. Her crystalline form was pulsing with patterns that human psychologists had identified as extreme arrogance. "Primitive human vessel," she said in her glass wind chime voice. "You position yourself between the Crystal Armada and our target. This is either supreme foolishness or supreme courage. Explain your intentions." You looked directly at the alien commander. "My intention is to show you something about humans that your Galactic Council never understood. We don't give up. We don't surrender. And when you threaten our home, we fight back with everything we have." "Your defiance is admirable but futile," Silthara replied. "One primitive ship cannot stand against the combined might of 2 galactic fleets." "You're right," Yu said with a smile. "One ship can't stand against 2 fleets, but one ship can do something else entirely." Before the alien commander could ask what he meant, the transmission was interrupted by excited chatter from the Krillian fleet. The fake communications planted by Lieutenant Nam were having their intended effect. "The insect creatures are transmitting on multiple frequencies," Yu's communications officer reported. "They seem agitated about something." Suddenly, both alien fleets began changing their formations. The Vorthak ships started positioning themselves defensively, while the Krillian vessels began moving in attack patterns aimed not at Earth, but at the Crystal Armada. "It's working," Yu said with satisfaction. "They're starting to turn on each other." The first shots were fired by a group of confused Krillian ships that had misinterpreted movement by the Vorthak formation as an aggressive action. Bioplasma. Bolts lanced out toward the crystalline vessels, striking their shields and causing brilliant light displays. The Vorthak response was immediate and devastating. Energy beams precise enough to cut through planets sliced into the Krillian bioships, causing massive explosions as their organic systems overloaded. Within seconds, both fleets were engaged in full combat. The space around Earth lit up with weapons fire as 2 of the galaxy's most powerful military forces tore into each other with centuries of accumulated mistrust and rivalry. 2 minutes to activation, reported the engineering officer aboard Guangzhou's Vengeance. Captain Yu watched the battle raging around his ship and felt a grim satisfaction. Both alien fleets were now operating at maximum power, their weapons, systems fully charged and their defensive screens at peak strength. This was exactly what Dr. Bay had said was necessary for the Cascade weapon to work. "All crew, prepare for weapon activation," he announced. "It's been an honor serving with all of you." On Earth, Admiral Park watched the tactical display showing the massive space battle above her planet. "Dr. Bay, are the conditions right for weapon activation?" "Perfect, Admiral," the scientist replied. "Both fleets are at maximum power output and fully engaged with each other. When the cascade effect begins, it will have maximum impact." 1 minute to activation, came Captain Yu's voice over the communication channel. So Young opened a fleet-wide channel to address the surviving human ships and the colonists who had come to help defend Earth. "All human vessels, this is Admiral Park. In 1 minute, Captain Yu and his crew are going to sacrifice themselves to save our world. I want everyone to remember what they're about to do. When the aliens dismissed us as primitive, they didn't understand what humanity really is. We're not primitive. We're adaptive. We're creative. And we never give up." The countdown aboard Guangzhou's Vengeance reached its final seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7. Captain Yu took one last look around his bridge at the crew members. who had chosen to die with him. "For Earth," he said quietly. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Activation. The Cascade resonance weapon fired. The effect was unlike anything seen in galactic history. A pulse of pure energy erupted from Guangzhou's vengeance, instantly vaporizing the ship and everyone aboard. But instead of dissipating, the energy formed, an expanding sphere that touched both alien fleets simultaneously. The quantum connections that held the Vorthak formation together became conduits for destruction. The cascade effect traveled through their entire fleet in milliseconds, causing each crystalline ship to resonate at its breaking frequency. One by one, the perfect geometric vessels began to crack and shatter like glass bells struck by hammers. Three, Krillian fleet suffered a different but equally devastating fate. The cascade effect disrupted their biological neural networks, causing a feedback loop that spread from ship to ship through their collective consciousness. The bioships began consuming themselves from within as their own nervous systems turned against them. Within 10 minutes, both fleets were reduced to expanding clouds of debris. Crystalline fragments from Vorthak ships reflected the light of Earth's sun like a deadly aurora, while the remains of Krillian bioships drifted lifelessly through space. The silence that followed was profound. For the first time in months, Earth's orbital space was free of alien warships. "All vessels, this is Admiral Park," came the transmission from Earth. "The alien fleets have been destroyed. Captain Yu and his crew have saved our world." But the victory celebration was interrupted by another development. Long-range sensors were detecting new contacts at the edge of the system. For a moment, everyone feared more Galactic Council reinforcements were arriving. "Admiral, the new contacts are broadcasting identification codes," reported the sensor operator.